The introduction to the enigma of Spartan death practices sets the stage by delving into the mysterious and often misunderstood rituals of ancient Sparta, practices that both intrigued and chilled the ancients. Central to the Spartan way of life was their unique approach to death, which was deeply intertwined with their values, societal roles, and militaristic culture. Unlike other Greek city-states that celebrated death with elaborate ceremonies and grand tombs, the Spartans adopted a more austere and secretive approach. This likely stemmed from their ethos of discipline and understated resilience, reflecting a society that prioritized the collective over the individual. Understanding these death practices is significant as it sheds light on the Spartan identity, a complex mosaic of fearlessness and functionality that permeated all aspects of their life. For instance, the ritual of Krypteia, where young Spartan males clandestinely executed helots, enslaved people, as a rite of passage, illustrates the societal emphasis on stealth, cunning, and dominance. Another example is the Spartan tradition of communal burial, where fallen warriors were buried without identifying markers, highlighting their belief in equal value and anonymity even in death. Several historians and scholars have offered opinions that support the idea of Spartan death practices being reflective of their unyielding discipline and martial prowess. Their rituals were not just about honoring the dead, but about reinforcing societal values, promoting unity, and instilling fear in adversaries. However, these death practices are not without controversy. Some criticize the harshness and dehumanization inherent in rites like the Krypteia, viewing them as tools of oppression and control that perpetuated social hierarchies and systemic violence. Furthermore, challenges arise in discerning fact from myth. Much of our understanding comes from accounts by non-Spartans such as Herodotus and Plutarch, whose interpretations could be biased or exaggerated. The scarcity of primary Spartan records leaves room for alternative viewpoints and the re-evaluation of their customs. These death practices are inextricably linked to other aspects of Spartan life, such as their rigorous military training and distinct social structure. By examining these rituals, we gain insight into how the Spartans maintained their feared reputation and internal cohesion, influencing both contemporaneous Greek culture and modern perceptions of discipline and valor. Ultimately, these hidden rituals underscore a society that revered stoicism and sacrifice, leaving a legacy that continues to fascinate and perplex historians and enthusiasts alike. The concept of Spartan death practices introduces us to a remarkably secretive and fascinating aspect of ancient Spartan culture. The Spartans, renowned for their martial prowess and austere lifestyle, had rituals surrounding death that could chill the ancients due to their enigmatic and sacred nature. These rituals were often shrouded in mystique, reflecting the Spartans' unique approach to life and mortality. In relation to the broader topic, understanding Spartan death practices brings depth to our perception of Spartan society. It sheds light on their values, beliefs, and the importance they placed on glory and honor, even in death. The way a society handles death reveals much about its identity, priorities, and ideologies. Two specific examples illustrate these practices. Firstly, the rite of passage for young Spartan warriors often included a symbolic burial for those who fell in battle. This ritual celebrated their transition to Elysium, the afterlife reserved for heroes. Secondly, there was the ceremonial disposal of infants in the seemingly brutal practice of exposure. Infants deemed weak or flawed were left to die, ensuring that only the strongest became part of the polis, reflecting a harsh yet pragmatic focus on societal excellence. Scholars and historians have various opinions about these rituals. Some argue that they underline the high value Spartans placed on strength and military prowess, which was essential for their survival and dominance in the Greek world. Others view them as evidence of a deeply ingrained fear and reverence for death, highlighting a belief system that celebrated the warrior's journey beyond mortality. However, these practices are not devoid of controversies. The exposure of infants is often cited as a point of ethical contention, painted as ruthless by outsiders yet justified by Spartans as a necessary measure for maintaining a robust citizenry. This practice elicits modern debates on the moral implications of such rites. These death practices intersect with other facets of Spartan life, influencing their societal structure, martial focus, and education system. They highlight a culture fixated on the perfection and perpetuation of its militaristic ethos. Understanding these practices not only offers insights into the enigmatic world of the Spartans, but also challenges modern interpretations of morality, endurance, and societal priorities. The Spartan approach to death and survival provides a window into how a society's unique values shape its rituals and legacies. The origins and evolution of Spartan rituals delves into the foundational and transformative aspects of the cultural practices of ancient Sparta, particularly those surrounding death. Spartan rituals are a fascinating mix of myth, practicality, and social control, deeply embedded in their militaristic and austere society. The origins of these practices are rooted in their desire to forge unity and resilience among citizens, particularly within their warrior class. Over time, these rituals evolved to adapt to changing political and social dynamics, while retaining their core objective of reinforcing the values of strength, sacrifice, and communal loyalty. Understanding the evolution of Spartan rituals is crucial to comprehending how the Spartans maintained their hegemony and societal cohesion despite a rigid and often brutal social structure. These practices were not merely ceremonial, they served as a testament to the Spartan ethos and were integral to the indoctrination of each generation into the Spartan way of life. Two notable examples illustrate the importance of these rituals. First, the practice of the agoge, a rigorous education and training regimen for male youths, served both as a rite of passage and as a means to instill martial values from a young age. Although not a death ritual per se, its culmination often involved tests that could result in death, enforcing a steadfast acceptance of mortality and valuing communal over individual life. Second, the burial practices for fallen warriors, which included the symbolic adornment of olive leaves and the prominent placement of shields, communicated honor and valor, reinforcing the message that ultimate sacrifice in battle ensured enduring respect and remembrance. Supporters of these practices argue that they were vital for maintaining the strength and discipline that enabled Sparta to be a dominant force in ancient Greece. They highlight the psychological conditioning these rituals provided, which was necessary for sustaining the Spartan military machine. However, critics point to the dehumanizing aspects of these practices, arguing that they reinforced social hierarchies and suppressed individual expression. Challenges to Spartan rituals primarily come from contemporary perspectives that emphasize individual rights and freedoms, contrasting with the collectivist and martial-focused Spartan values. These practices can also be seen as brutal and oppressive, highlighting deep societal divides between the warrior class and helots. Overall, the origins and evolution of Spartan rituals provide a lens through which the broader societal structure and priorities of Sparta can be understood. They influence other aspects of Spartan life, such as governance, education, and social norms, and underscore the complex interplay between ritual, power, and identity in this ancient society. The heading, Hidden Rituals, the Untold Spartan Death Practices That Chilled the Ancients, introduces the concept of the lesser-known and often unsettling funeral customs of the Spartan civilization, a society renowned for its military prowess and austere lifestyle. Spartan death practices encompassed a variety of rituals designed to honor the dead while reinforcing societal values. Notably, these practices were starkly different from those of other Greek city-states, reflecting Sparta's unique worldview. The significance of these rituals lies in their role in reinforcing the Spartan collective identity, with death viewed as an extension of a life devoted to the state. Such practices were integral in ensuring the continuation of Spartan ideals, particularly the glorification of martial valor and the subordination of individual desires for communal benefit. Understanding these rituals helps illuminate Spartan society's broader cultural and psychological framework, offering a window into how death was intertwined with their social and philosophical structures. A prime example of Spartan death practices is the revered handling of fallen warriors. Spartans believed dying in battle was the most honorable death, meriting burial in marked graves with a simple inscription of the warrior's name, a stark contrast to the grandiose funerals common in Athens. This custom underscored the societal valorization of martial sacrifice. Another illustration is the ritualistic treatment of infants. Newborns perceived as weak or deformed were reportedly left on the slopes of Mount Taygetus to die of exposure, a practice rooted in the belief of maintaining a robust citizenry capable of contributing to Sparta's military strength. These practices, while pragmatic in reinforcing societal norms, were controversial. Ancient observers and modern scholars alike have debated the ethics and humanity of such customs. Criticism often focuses on the harshness of these practices and their emphasis on eugenic principles. Some argue that these rituals dehumanize, reducing individual worth to mere utility. However, defenders of these practices highlight their role in creating a disciplined and cohesive society capable of enduring severe challenges. They contend that these rituals ensured only the most capable individuals perpetuated Spartan values, fostering resilience and unity. Overall, Spartan death rituals were interwoven with broader societal principles, significantly influencing Spartan culture by instilling a sense of duty and fortifying social cohesion. These practices ensure that, like their lives, Spartan deaths served the state, reinforcing the societal ethos that has fascinated historians and admirers of ancient cultures alike. Understanding these rituals not only provides insight into Spartan society, but also invokes broader discussions on the ethics of cultural practices.